Good morning, Story Trading VIPs. This is our first show of 2023. It's Tuesday, January 3rd. We got some interesting news to talk about. We're going to kick off a new year here, and hopefully, we're going to just kill it, continue the success we've had on this pre-market show over the last 6 months or so since we started it. All right, you can see, interesting. This is very interesting. You don't see this much. QQQ, the markets, right? QQQ SPY is up together with TLT and UUP. I don't think I've seen that since we started this, and I'm not sure how to read into that. We say how, the bond market is smarter. So what's the bond market telling us? Well, it's up sharply 2.5%. So that would indicate maybe lower interest rates, but UUP is up, which is unusual, really unusual to see that. So I don't know. I'm not prepared to say, hey, is this move in QQQ or SPY real or fake based on what the smarter bond market is telling us? We've done that exercise many times and it's worked successfully. This morning, I'm not really willing to analyze that or make a jump on that. Because if you look at QQQ, I mean, this to me is too risky to kind of short or anything like that. It's breaking above last week's high. So in the very near term, I think we could have a clear path to the next resistance area, the 20 DMA 272 on QQQ. And SPY here, you can see there about 387 or so. That'll be the first target. You see the MACD getting ready to flip. So you don't know how long this bear market rally could have legs on, but I have not changed my thoughts at all on Apple and recession. And Apple's up this morning. I honestly think it's an opportunity. Perhaps, who knows? Maybe it could go to 135, maybe it can go to 140. But I do think Apple is heading to 112 and perhaps even lower. And that's what I'm thinking. That's why we're still in red alert for the hedge fund, where we're shorting the NASDAQ. And maybe we're going to swing short some Apple here with AAPD. That's an ETF. That's a relatively safe way to short Apple because it's one time, no leverage. You're not using options. So AAPD, something to look into. But yeah, you could get a bear market rally. We could be up for a couple days, maybe a week, maybe two, who knows? But I don't think that changes the story. And that would just give opportunities to raise cash and maybe short Apple. So yeah, a little bit of a confusing outlook, seeing everything green. Maybe it's because of the first day of the year and there's lots of money moving around the world. That bond market is huge. So we'll just have to see how that goes. But, for our morning show, what we really do is focus on individual catalysts on stocks. So let's take a look at that. Now, Apple, by the way, there was a report out yesterday out on social media of several of their top products. I think AirPods were in there. I think the Apple Watch is in there. A bunch of products. Now, this is a report from a media company, so you don't know necessarily how reliable it is, but I feel like it's definitely coming based on other signs we're seeing in the economy. So Apple, not a great sign there. Tesla. Now, yesterday, they missed on deliveries. They beat on production. They announced their earnings conference call for later this month. So Tesla is down this morning. Now, I'm not going to make a short-term price prediction here. I'll just tell you, I think Tesla is 2023. 2023 is the year to buy Tesla. I've learned so much about the fundamentals. I've attended maybe at least a dozen hours of Twitter Spaces discussions on Tesla, listening to bears, listening to bulls. I think the fundamentals of this is really, really, really strong. I believe it's both a value play and a growth play. It may have some hiccups here, may have a couple difficult quarters, maybe a difficult year. But if you look at the technicals, I think that, the pre-market COVID high of 65 or so, I think that'll probably hold. So this is your buy range from a long-term perspective, 65 to 120. So I'm happy accumulating Tesla in this range, 65 to 120. I think 2023 is going to be the low for Tesla, the year to buy Tesla. And I'm looking forward to a multi-bagger in the years to come on Tesla based on the fundamental research I've been doing. All right, now let's dig into some of our microcaps. DRIO, my favorite microcap, had news this morning. Now, it's not the huge news I'm waiting for. Now, there are so many catalysts stacked and ready to go for DRIO. The big one I'm waiting for is the launch of the Aetna program. That's very important. Few understand why it's so important. Many will just say, hey, this is already news people know. It's not going to move the market. Not true. I've talked about it. And maybe later on, within the community, I'll talk about more why that PR is so important. But they got lots of other things coming. This morning, they announced they achieved their goal of 100 business-to-business contracts. And the one that got them there was a large, looks like a supermarket chain, a large Northeast U.S. supermarket chain, selected DRIO. That brings them to 100, which what they guided for last year. So that's good. Now we are waiting for the Aetna launch. We're waiting for Sanofi to invest. We're waiting for another couple regional healthcare insurers. So lots of waiting for a new strategic partner they've been teasing on the level of Sanofi. So many catalysts coming. I believe this is the first. Today's press release is the first of many catalysts to come in Q1. So, I'm not trading this because I have such a big long-term position. You can see it's up against resistance here in the 440 area at the 50 DMA. If it breaks that, you can make a run towards 5. I'm not sure that today is the day to do it, but this month, this quarter, I'm looking forward to the stock potentially approaching a double if all of those catalysts come to fruition. This morning, TXMD. Now, we talked about this about a month ago when they had a deal to basically sell all their assets to another pharmaceutical company, get a boatload of cash, pay off their debt, and then turn into a royalty stream. So it's a different kind of company. Market cap 52 million. They're guaranteed about $3 million in royalties plus like $30 million in milestones. 3 million is a minimum, and it can go up from there. So now the deal has been consummated this morning. There's some pre-market action, 9,000 shares. I like this news. This is the run it made here. You can see from here, 12.2 to the peak over there from about $4.30 to over $7 was the run it made when the news was announced. It pulled back. Now the news is complete. The deal is sealed. To me, it makes sense that it would move over 6. It's already there, though. So I'm not jumping in at this moment, but it's something I'm going to watch, maybe on pullbacks. Maybe there's some support levels here to take this for a short-term trade, potentially a day trade or a swing trade. I'm not ready to do a long-term investment in this because I need people to do the fundamental analysis. So if you guys want to look at this, it's a totally new business model now, right? We need someone to look at their balance sheet and their revenue and what their earnings could look like. And then we could have a little more confidence if it makes sense for long term. But for right now, on this news, on pullbacks, it looks like a possible play. FREY, you got volume this morning, 61,000 shares, not insignificant. Big move over here. I don't see news. Perhaps it's an analyst who gave it coverage this morning or raised the price target. I've been talking about this for a few days because if you look at the longer term chart, look at that. It just looks due based on where the RSI is and based on where the price is. This is just up and down in this big chop with lots of opportunity from like 8 to 14 back to 8. Maybe it's on its way back to 14. I've been talking about it for a few days, and there is a short report out there that sparked this latest drop, but we did get the analysis from Kevin in our community, and he gave a pretty good thesis of why that's not necessarily a worry. So you see FREY moving up, I think just because it's oversold, plus possible upgrade that we haven't heard of here with nice volume in pre-market. So that's something that could be not only tradable like a day trade on pullbacks, but this could be a swing trade to like $14. That's been the history here. All right. SANW, I don't know this well. I know Julian's been talking about it, and he has been totally right about it. Microcap agriculture company, it's doubled since he kind of mentioned it to us. I don't know if it's still in it, but there was some news out for a JV joint venture with a Trigal Genetic. So just putting that out there, and maybe Julian will chime in to the room and tell us more about SANW. I'm not in it, not chasing it, but we're keeping an eye on it. We should have listened to Julian over a month ago when he brought it up at 75 cents. Good job, Julian, nailing SANW. Just want to mention AppHarvest, another microcap ad company, APPH, which has not had a bounce, has been straight down. They did a sale leaseback. That's why it's in our radar. A sale leaseback of $127 million, which seems pretty significant compared to the 61 million market cap. Now, I haven't done research on this besides for that, but I did see on social media some people are saying they are burning so much cash, even with this 127 million, they'll have to go back to the capital markets within a quarter or two. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think it's something worth researching. And I'm bringing it up again today because I had a little bit of news with their board member becoming the chief operating officer. So things are happening at APPH. Major restructurings are happening. Can it find a bottom? I don't know it yet. Putting that out there if someone wants to research it. If they do turn around somehow, the upside could be pretty big. ACTG, this is the stock from Matt Kolb that's doing the rights offering at $5.25, I believe, in a few weeks. So you can sell your shares for $5.25. That's why it's been moving from $3.50 all the way to $4.35. A potential pullback opportunity here because the CEO apparently misused some funds. He was fired. They're doing an investigation into him. Misuse of for personal things. Nothing about the company really, from what I saw. It's like his using company funds for like dinner and travel for friends and family and things like that were misappropriately used, and he was fired. And the stock is down now. I don't even think there's volume today, but this is the action on Friday. Yeah. This is the after hours market on Friday. So if it like opens in there 380 to 4 or something like that, this could be an opportunity. You can see the support level at 392. So I'm going to have my eye on ACTG for a potential opportunity on that news, which I don't think impacts the fundamentals of this rights offering at $5.25. VTSI been on a tear, but it's like low volume the last few days. I guess it just got oversold because of tax law selling up to the 50 DMA. And they had a bit of news this morning. You can take a look at the new person they brought into the board of directors, Jim McDonnell, top law enforcement leader. Perhaps that's another catalyst that can improve sentiment because sentiment's pretty low with VTSI. I do own this in my long-term portfolio, keeping an eye on it. Not sure that this is something I'd want to jump on for a day trade or swing trade or anything like that, just because it's moved so much up to the 50 DMA. But we'll be watching it. Watch the technicals for signs of an opportunity. Now, a couple that are more interesting to me in terms of perhaps a continuation. These are swing plays we've been talking about. All four of these: LLAP, TBLA, CTLP, CTMX, and they're all working out great. And TGB. All of these have been swing plays we're talking about almost every single day. LLAP finally took off after lots of stagnation. I bought this on Friday as it was taken off. It broke the high over here. It was 157. Friday, we got to 159. The MACD flip. This is the aerospace company that had to deal with Lockheed Martin. I really like the chart over here. I did 175 as my target on it. I forgot where I pulled that out. It must be these candles. It must be these support candles at about, these are 170. And it's probably just rounding up to 175. So 170, and then we'll take it from there, and we'll see how it's behaving. We'll see the RSI. So LLAP looks like it's waking up. I'm looking for possible continuation today. Same with Tableau. That just exploded on Friday. This is the one that had the $1 billion deal with Yahoo. They had, this is cheap. The EBITDA like 4 or 5, something like that. We had analysts upgrading the stock to like 450 in one case, I think 350 in another case. Finally, it takes off above the 200 legs, potentially. What did I say last week? I would just round 350 to 4 right now. All right. Just rounding some of these numbers, but 350 to 4 is now my new swing target. So we've upgraded the swing target on this. Before it was just the 200 DMA. Now that it broke it, looking for 350 to 4 swing on TBLA. CTLP has been great. And on this one, our swing target at this point, we've broken all the other targets. We've been on this since 340. We've been riding it all the way up. Now the target's 490, 200 DMA. So CTLP is still looking good with relatively low RSI. CTMX has a catalyst next week. This is this company that had to deal with Regeneron. So you got that as a tailwind, both fundamentals and sentiment. They got 30 million cash from them. That's the fundamentals, and the sentiment of working with Regeneron, obviously very good. You're breaking the 20 DMA. You have event anticipation going into next week. Target 170, but I don't know. I have a feeling this can break. Obviously, if the data is good, it can, right? But who knows? Maybe I'll sell half going into the event and save half for the details. Maybe Regeneron knows something we don't about the data that's about to be released next week, and looks tantalizingly close to the 200 DMA. So if it breaks above that, it could go on a nice little run. So waiting for that. TGB from Matt, thank you from the community. CTMX, by the way, kudos and thank you to Ariel for bringing that to our attention. TGB, there's a copper play Matt's given us. This has been a swing. It kind of died down. Copper's up a little bit this morning, last I checked, but I was looking for 175 on this. You can see all of these support candles right there back last year. So I was looking for 175. That's still the swing target, but it's a little bit boring. To be honest with you, I've been in and out of it when it was weak because I've been using that money for other plays. But this is something still got my eye on for 175 swing target on that copper play. TPCS, finally, Mark Gomes stock really wakes up. And really, for the first time, this is the most bullish I've ever been on it. I started buying at 171 and I bought every day last week. And it's actually a top 10 position for me now. Went from 0 to top 10 within 3 days. And it just looks like the sellers are gone. It looked like it was really being held down. I like the price action. I like that it's being able to move up on low volume, which means this persistent seller, which was keeping the stock down, is gone. Plus, we have the catalyst of uplisting, which I'm really interested in. I'll leave the fundamentals to the crew who really researched this well. But as far as why I got in right now, it's because of the catalyst of the uplisting plus the price action. And of course, the sector is really good. The sentiment of aerospace is really good. By the way, if you take a look at like stocks like Raytheon and Lockheed Martin, go take a look at their charts. They're really doing pretty well. I think Raytheon curled back up recently, back near an all-time high. So it's in a good sector. So TPCS looking good. Very happy with the action there. And I think this is something I'm probably going to keep. Well, we'll see. We'll see how the price action goes. But I mean, the uplisting is a huge catalyst. So that's an opportunity to sell right after it, right before it. We'll have to see how that plays out. All right. RELL earnings are tomorrow. So let's talk about that in the rooms. We can see here earnings preview. You can read this earnings preview. Analysts estimate 29 cents a share. So we'll have to look at that. Last quarter, the company beat EPS by 21 cents. So that's huge. And it went up 25% the next day, as you can see here in the article. So can we get something like that again? We'll have to wait and see. But this is definitely a recession-resistant stock. And it's a nice top 10 position in my portfolio. Air has earnings on Thursday. We'll have to see what Gain Erickson gives us. Honestly, I don't love this as much. Partially because of the conversation I had with Gain after that press release that came out with their second large customer, major silicon carbide semiconductor supplier, right? Basically, I was trying to equate and say, ask Gain, is this the same as your first deal, their first major semiconductor supplier in silicon carbide, or are we to expect ton of orders over the next few months? And it's like, no, it's not the same at all. We don't really have visibility in how big this is going to be yet. So he was really downplaying that. We'll have to see what he reports on Friday. Also, I don't like this 2050 bearish cross on the daily. But, I'm maintaining a long-term position. We'll have to see how earnings are. Maybe we can invite Gain back like we often do after earnings to speak to us. So QUIK had a little bit of news that they will be presenting at conference on January 10th. The stock has been beaten down. I mean, I got a big position in this. I'm down. I got the big position after that Department of Defense deal, which could be worth up to like $72 million, something like that, which, I mean, for a company that's $67 million, pretty, and they're the lead contractor on this. That's pretty significant. So I really like what's going on with QUIK and that contract they have with the Department of Defense, and it's really taken a beating. Maybe this Needham conference can turn things around. Maybe there was some tax law selling, so I'm holding on to QUIK and hoping for a move up. All right, so that's your list of stocks. Now, to kind of summarize, what's the top 2-3 focus I'll be looking at today. TXMD and FREY has had the best pre-market action. Best volume this morning. So I think as far as movement today, those are prime candidates to look at possible pickups. DRIO, I think that was pretty good news, and we'll have to see if there's follow through. I have a big position, so I'm not trading this, but I think there's a possibility this can break 440 and start moving up. So that's something I got my eye on. But really, I'm really interested in LLAP TBLA, CTLP, and CTMX. Those four, I really like the reasons why we pick them for swing trades, and none of that has changed. The price action has been really strong. I think all four of these still have room to go, so I'm interested in those and be watching them closely to be trading around the core, possibly, depending on what it does today. So, all right, lots of ideas for everyone today. Tomorrow on Pre-Market Prep, we got a special guest who could become a regular on our show. This is a social media influencer who I've gotten to know through the Wolf Financial Spaces I participated on every week. She is one of the best traders out there. She shares some of the philosophy we have over at StoryTrading. When she trades, she's also looking at fundamentals and catalysts. Really, really rare for traders to do that, to look at technicals, fundamentals, and catalysts. And we also look at sentiment. So that's pretty special. She has a really good track record. She has her own paid community, and she's a professional. So we're going to bring her on the show tomorrow at 9:15 a.m., right at the tail end of my presentation, to kind of talk about a couple of the top ideas I've weaned out for the morning, but also hear what her top picks are for the day. So that's going to be really interesting. We're going to test that out 2 or 3 times, and if it goes well, we might have her on a regular basis. All right. So, guys, have a great day. Thanks for joining. If you're watching the replay at 4 p.m., make sure to hop on over to StoryTrading.com, grab a 7-day risk-free trial, and we'll continue the collaboration in the rooms. Thank you. Have a great day. Where's my exit music? There it is.